Welcome to A Researcher's Guide to Local Area Unemployment Statistics. This brief tutorial is a joint effort between the Cornell Institute for Social and Economic Research and Cornell's program on applied demographics. In this tutorial, we will cover how to access the data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics website. The address for the website is listed at the bottom of this slide. The BLS provides several different ways to access unemployment statistics as well as other data series. Some are well suited for an information query when you're seeking a limited amount of data for a specific geographic area. Others are for more robust requests. This U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, or BLS, website provides instructions for extracting LAUS data. In this tutorial, we're demonstrating how to extract data for all U.S. counties by month and year. We are using the Flat Files FTP site. The address for the site is provided here at the top, and a screenshot of what you would see when you go to that site is provided in the slide. This view of the FTP server was taken on March 30th, 2020. Note that most of the files were loaded to the server on March 27th, 2020. The files are frequently updated, and for the most part, they're all updated on a monthly basis as new data are added to the series. The first 4 files contain documentation materials. The 5th to the 10th files contain data for 5-year periods for all of the geographic areas of the U.S. that are covered in the LAUS program. The 5th file contains data for the years 2000 through 2004. The server has files covering the years 1990 through 2019. Following the 5-year period files for the U.S. are files for each state. In this tutorial, we are working with LAUS data for all the counties of the U.S. for the period 2015 to 2019. These data are contained in the raw data file called la.data.0.currentu15-19. The raw data files can have well over 1 million records each and just 5 fields that are tab delimited. In other words, these are tall and skinny files. The 5 fields are series ID, year, period, value, and footnote codes. Series ID. The series ID displayed at the top of the slide here is a concatenation of a number of codes. Here is an example for Onondaga County, New York. The series ID starts out LAUCN and then followed by a series of numbers. This field is parsed as follows. The LA stands for what series? In this case, the local area unemployment statistics. Next is the letter that tells us whether the data are seasonally adjusted or unadjusted. In this case, the U shows that the data were unadjusted for seasonality. Had they been adjusted for seasonality, there would have been an S. CN tells us the type of area. CN stands for county records. Other geographic areas would have different codes. 36, that's the state FIPS or ASCII code. In this case, 36 stands for New York State. Next, the 067 is the county code. In this case, again, 067 means Onondaga County. Then there's series of zeros. These are placeholders and not used in the county files, but would be used for other types of areas. Finally, the 03 at the end tells us what the measure that's being presented in this record is for. 03 means unemployment rate, the unemployed people as a percent of the total labor force. Other than 03, 04 would mean that the record had data for unemployed persons. 05 would have records for employed persons, and 06 would have data on the labor force, the sum of the unemployed and the employed. Now, if you only had 0.4 unemployed persons and 0.5 employed persons, you could derive the other data for labor force and unemployment rate. But the BLS saves you that effort so that you could search for just the records that you want and not go through unnecessary additional manipulations of the data file. Next, the field for year tells us the reference year to which the data refer. Then period. The period is the time period for which the data refer. M01 means it's the data for the month of January. So M for month, and of course 01 for the first month of the year. And so on down to M12 for December, and then M13 telling you that it's an annual average for all 12 months. Value is the rate or number of persons for the measure for the specified county and period. In other words, what's the unemployment rate, or what's the number of employed persons, so on and so forth. Then footnote codes. These are explanations for missing or imputed values. They're likely not used if you're working with county files. However, you can see that the codes here would be extremely valuable to help you interpret what kind of data you've got if they had to be used for missing or imputed values. There are additional files that are critical and will give you those meanings of the various codes. There are 6 files on the FTP server that provide this necessary metadata for the raw data files. The files are la.txt. This is the equivalent of a README file, and this file provides an overview of all the last files from BLS. Read this document first. It provides information on the following. It tells you about the various time series, the series file, the data file, the mapping file, definitions and relationships, series file format and field definitions, data file format and field definitions, mapping file formats and field definitions, and the all-important, a data element dictionary. Again, this is where you should start to figure out what you've got and what you need to get. Next, la.series is the detailed labels for each of the series. la.period gives you those codes for the periods variable. la.seasonal, codes identifying whether the value is seasonally adjusted or unadjusted. la.period, codes for the periods variable. la.measure, codes for the measure variable. And then finally, that la.footnote, codes and labels to help you interpret the value in case it's missing or imputed. To recap, here's the URL for the last data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. This is the place to start to retrieve your data. We hope that this helps. Take care.